All right, so we're going to take a deep dive into the Battle of Chalderan today.
Okay.
It's a battle that I have to admit
Hmm.
I didn't know a ton about before I started looking into this, but it seems like a pretty important moment in Middle Eastern history.
It really is the repercussions of this battle
Yeah.
echoed for centuries.
Yeah, we've got all
Mm.
sorts of stuff here. We've got like serious academic papers.
Wow.
One is called
Yeah.
A Geopolitical Reading of Post-Chalderan Kurdish Political History,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
We've got a breakdown of the battle from the Wikishia perspective
Right.
and a piece called The Battle of Chalderan, a geopolitical narrative.
Okay.
And then we've got a couple of YouTube videos to round things out,
Yeah.
one from Kings and Generals and another one from On 10 Inc.
Yeah. Those are both
Great resources. Was the Battle of Chalderan inevitable, or were there decisions made that set these two empires on a collision course?
That's a great question to start off with. And I think to really understand Chalderan, we need to kind of grasp the context of the time.
Okay.
The year is 1514.
Yeah.
You've got the Ottoman Empire, a major power in the West, facing off against this newly established Safavid Empire in Persia.
Right.
And this wasn't just a simple border dispute. This was a clash of cultures and religions, the Sunni Ottomans versus the Shia Safavids.
Right off the bat, some serious tension brewing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about the Safavids.
Well, the Safavid leader, Shah Ismail Aras, was
Right.
a fascinating figure.
Okay.
He had united Iran under a Shia banner for the first time since the 7th century,
Wow.
which was a huge GE deal.
Yeah.
His Qizilbash warriors, these fierce Turkic horsemen, were intensely loyal to him.
I read that Ismail's beliefs were a bit unusual for a political leader.
Yeah.
Something about like claiming to be a divine figure.
He did. Yeah, in his poetry, Ismail claimed to be the reincarnation of ancient Persian heroes, a descendant of the Imams, and even possibly a divine figure himself.
Wow.
And that kind of charisma and that spiritual authority really fueled the fervor of his followers.
So it sounds like you've got a powerful leader
Yeah.
with a devoted army and a captivating persona.
Absolutely.
So what led to the clash at Chalderan specifically?
Well, years earlier, there had been rebellions within the Ottoman Empire fueled by Safavid sympathizers.
Uh-huh.
And this really alarmed the Ottomans, who saw the Safavids as a growing threat to their own influence.
And then Selim the Grim enters the scene, right?
Yes, in 1512, Sultan Selim I took the Ottoman throne.
Okay.
He was known for his ruthlessness, and he was determined to eliminate the Safavid problem.
Right.
So Selim decided on a full-on military campaign, marching east with a massive army to confront Shah Ismail.
So it seems like these two empires are on this collision course,
Yeah.
both vying for power
Absolutely.
in the region.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, though, there's a lot of talk in these sources about the Ottomans' use of gunpowder.
Yes.
Is that really such a big deal at the time?
Absolutely. Gunpowder was revolutionizing warfare.
Okay.
The Ottomans were masters of artillery and firearms.
Uh-huh.
They'd really integrated this technology into their military strategy.
Okay.
The Safavids, on the other hand, they saw firearms as dishonorable
Oh, wow.
and relied on the strength of their cavalry.
Okay, so the Ottomans are kind of at the forefront of military technology,
Yes.
while the Safavids are clinging to more traditional methods.
Right.
Did that play a role in how the battle unfolded?
It definitely did, and in a way that surprised many.
Okay.
You see, Ismail initially planned a scorched earth strategy,
yeah.
but he abandoned that and chose to engage the Ottomans head-on.
Interesting.
It was a decision that puzzled many at the time.
Yeah, that seems like it would play right into the Ottomans' hands, knowing their strength with firearms.
Right.
What led Ismail to make that kind of a decision?
Well, there are accounts that suggest that Ismail saw any sort of ambush or surprise attack
Uh-huh.
as dishonorable and beneath him.
Interesting.
He was a warrior king who wanted to prove his strength in a direct confrontation.
Okay.
Now, there might have been other factors at play too.
Yeah.
Perhaps an overconfidence in his Qizilbash warriors,
Mm-hmm.
or a miscalculation of the Ottomans' capabilities.
Okay, so we've got a clash of empires, a clash of religions, and a clash of military philosophies.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hear how the battle itself played out.
All right, let's move to that fateful day on the plains of Chalderan.
Okay.
The Ottoman army, under Selim's command, was prepared for a large-scale engagement.
Okay.
They were methodical and well-equipped.
And the Safavids. Were they prepared for what Selim had in store for them?
Ismail, confident in his Qizilbash and their past victories, led them in a series of cavalry charges against the Ottoman lines.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bold but ultimately disastrous move.
I can imagine going up against cannons and muskets with traditional cavalry doesn't seem like a recipe for success.
It wasn't. The Kizilbash, brave as they were decimated by the Ottoman firepower.
Wow.
The Safavid army was routed, and the Ottomans captured Tabriz, their capital.
Sounds like a devastating defeat for the Safavids. What was the immediate aftermath of the battle?
Well, the Ottomans looted Tabriz, but facing resistance from the local population and the potential for a Safavid counterattack,
Yeah,
they decided to withdraw fairly quickly.
interesting.
It was a tactical retreat, but a significant victory nonetheless.
Yeah.
This win had a profound impact on both empires and on the region as a whole.
I'm already seeing how this single battle could have long-lasting consequences. I'm guessing this isn't the end of the story.
Not at all. The battle was over, but the story of Chalderan was just beginning.
Okay,
Shall we explore the ripple effects of this clash?
let's do
The
it.
Safavid defeat at Chalderan was a turning point.
Yeah,
But to fully appreciate the impact, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
you're right. We've talked about the tactics and the immediate aftermath.
Right.
But what were the long-term consequences of this battle? How did it reshape the political and religious landscape of the region?
Well, for the Ottomans, Chalderan was a springboard.
Okay.
Selim, emboldened by his victory, went on to conquer other territories, expanding the Ottoman Empire significantly.
The sources mention he conquered the Mamluks in Egypt and Syria.
Right.
That must have given the Ottomans a huge amount of control in the region.
It did. Those were strategically crucial areas.
Yeah.
By taking Egypt, the Ottomans gained control of the holy cities of Mecca and Medina,
Wow.
further cementing their claim as leaders of the Islamic world.
So a battle fought in the eastern frontier of the Ottoman Empire
Yeah.
actually paved the way for their expansion southward and westward?
Yeah,
It's like a domino effect?
it is.
What about the Safavids? How did they recover from such a decisive defeat?
They did survive, but their ambitions were definitely checked.
Okay.
The defeat forced them to become more defensive,
Uh,
focusing on consolidating their control within Persia. They also faced internal challenges,
okay.
particularly from the Kizilbash.
The Kuzlash.
Yeah.
Weren't they the ones who were so loyal to Shah Ismail?
They were, and they remained fiercely loyal to the Safavid dynasty.
Okay.
However, the balance of power shifted after Chalderan.
Mm-hmm.
The Kizilbash became even more powerful and assertive,
Oh, wow.
and weren't always afraid to challenge the Shah's authority.
So it sounds like the Safavids had their work cut out for them,
Yeah.
both internally and externally.
They did. It's a reminder that military defeats can have a ripple effect,
Yeah.
destabilizing an empire from within as well as without.
And of course, we can't forget about the Kurds, who were caught in the middle of this rivalry between two empires.
Absolutely. The annexation of Kurdish territories by the Ottomans after Chalderan was a defining moment in Kurdish history.
Yeah,
It led to centuries of struggle for autonomy and recognition.
right.
The Kurds, divided and subjugated, fought to preserve their identity and culture.
It's a tragic example of how a single battle can have long-lasting consequences
Yeah.
for a people caught in the crosshairs of empires.
Indeed, it highlights the human cost of these grand historical events.
Yeah.
And serves as a reminder that those costs can reverberate for generations.
So Chalderan wasn't just a battle.
Right.
It was a turning point in the history of the Middle East with repercussions that we still see today.
It really was. We can trace so many modern issues
Yeah.
back to this clash.
Speaking of modern issues, the battle wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of civilizations. Sunni versus Shia, gunpowder empires versus traditional cavalry. Did this amplify the religious and cultural divisions in the region?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Chalderan solidified the religious divide between the Ottoman and Safavid empires. The Ottomans championed Sunni Islam, while the Safavids promoted Shia Islam.
Right.
This divide continues to be a major source of tension and conflict in the Middle East today.
It's a stark reminder of how events from centuries ago can cast such a long shadow.
Indeed, we can't fully understand the complexities of the modern Middle East
Right.
without understanding these historical fault lines.
You mentioned earlier that the Ottomans used their victory at Chalderan as a springboard for cultural development. Did the battle have any lasting effects on art, literature, or architecture?
It certainly did. Both empires used art and architecture to project their power and legitimacy.
Okay.
The Ottomans, flush with victory, commissioned grand projects to celebrate their triumph.
Uh-huh.
The Suleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul, for example, built during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent,
Right.
is a testament to Ottoman power and grandeur, and its design was inspired by Selim's victory at Chalderan.
So the echoes of the battle can be seen in the very architecture of the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
What about the Safavids? Did they abandon their artistic endeavors after such a demoralizing defeat?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, their cultural achievements flourished. The Safavid capital of Isfahan, with its breathtaking mosques, palaces, and gardens, demonstrates their enduring artistic legacy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You'd think a defeat like Chalderan would stifle creativity, but it seems to have had the opposite effect.
It's possible the defeat fueled a desire to assert their cultural identity even more forcefully. It's as if they were saying, you may have defeated us on the battlefield,
Right.
but our culture, our art, our spirit will endure.
And endure it did.
Yes.
Their artistic legacy is still celebrated and studied today.
It is.
So Chalderan was a defining moment in the military and political history of the Middle East, but it also had a significant impact on the region's cultural development.
Precisely. It's a perfect example of how history is a tapestry woven from many threads: political, religious, military, and cultural.
Right.
They're all intertwined.
It makes you wonder, what if things had gone differently at Chalderan?
Yeah.
How would the world look today if the Safavids had won? Would the Middle East be a predominantly Shia region? Would the Ottoman Empire have met an earlier demise?
It's a fascinating thought experiment.
Right.
While we can't know for sure,
Right.
these what-if questions allow us to delve into the complexities of historical causality. They underscore that history isn't predetermined.
Right.
It's shaped by a myriad of factors,
Wow.
including individual choices,
Yeah.
chance occurrences, and the confluence of circumstances.
It reminds us that the world we live in today is just one outcome
Yes.
of countless possibilities.
Exactly, and that makes studying history all the more intriguing.
So we've established that Chalderan is a battle worth remembering.
Yes.
But with so many battles, so many events in history, what makes this one stand out?
Right.
Why should it be on our mental map of important historical moments?
Well, Chalderan stands out for a few key reasons.
Okay.
First, it was a clash of empires, a crucial moment in the struggle between the Ottomans and the Safavids, two of the most powerful empires in the world at that time. It was a battle that helped to define the destiny of nations
Right.
in the course of history.
It's like a clash of the titans
Yeah,
with huge implications for the future of the region.
absolutely. Second, Chalderan signaled a turning point in military technology.
Okay.
The Ottoman victory demonstrated the rising dominance of gunpowder empires and the decline of traditional cavalry warfare.
Right.
It was a clash between old and new, where the new emerged triumphant.
We've talked about how the Ottomans embraced gunpowder,
Yeah,
while the Safavids seemed resistant to it.
right.
Do you think that was a major factor in their defeat? Could they have won if they had adopted those technologies?
It's certainly possible their resistance to firearms was rooted in their cultural and military traditions.
Okay.
They saw courage and skill in horsemanship as the epitome of warrior virtue. But their adherence to those traditional methods, while honorable, may have ultimately cost them the victory.
It's a reminder that adaptability is crucial, even in the face of long-held beliefs.
Absolutely.
If you can't keep up with the changing times, you risk being left behind, even if your intentions are noble.
Precisely. And thirdly, Chalderan had profound religious and cultural consequences.
Right.
It reinforced the Sunni-Shia divide, contributed to the persecution of minorities,
Okay.
and as we've discussed, inspired a wealth of artistic expression.
It sounds like the effects of this battle extended far beyond the battlefield itself.
They did. Chalderan was a watershed moment,
Right.
a turning point that continues to resonate through the centuries.
As we've been discussing this battle, the theme of what if keeps coming up.
Right.
It seems there were several instances where different decisions or events could have led to a completely different outcome.
History is full of such pivotal moments. What if Shah Ismail had attacked the Ottomans before they could fully deploy their artillery?
Right.
What if the Quzilbash had embraced gunpowder technology? What if Selim hadn't been such a skilled and ruthless leader?
Yeah.
These what-ifs highlight the contingent nature of history.
It's a bit like a choose-your-own-adventure story, but with much higher stakes.
Indeed. And that makes studying history all the more captivating.
Yeah.
We can analyze the decisions that were made,
Right.
But we can never know for certain what might have happened
Right.
if things had unfolded differently.
It makes you appreciate the complexity of history
Yes.
and how seemingly small decisions can have monumental consequences. It wasn't just about the might of empires, but also about the choices individuals made.
Exactly. And that's what makes the study of history so compelling. It's a story of grand forces and individual actors,
Yeah.
all intersecting in unpredictable ways.
So it's amazing how one battle fought over 500 years ago can still have such a powerful resonance.
It speaks to the interconnectedness of history,
Right.
how events from the past continue to shape the world we live in today.
Absolutely. We've covered the military and political impacts of Chalderan, the clash of empires and religions,
Yeah.
the rise of gunpowder technology.
Right.
But what about the human impact?
Right.
What were the enduring legacies of this battle,
Yeah.
the echoes that we still see and feel today?
Well, one of the most obvious legacies is the geopolitical landscape of the region.
Okay.
Chalderan cemented Ottoman dominance,
Hmm.
setting the stage for centuries of their rule in much of the Middle East.
Right.
And even though the Ottoman Empire itself is long gone,
Yeah.
its influence can still be seen in the political boundaries and the power dynamics of the region.
It's a reminder that empires may rise and fall, but their impact can linger for centuries,
Absolutely.
shaping the course of nations.
Yeah.
What about the religious dimension? We talked earlier about how the battle intensified the Sunni-Shia divide.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a legacy that continues to cause pain and division.
Yeah.
Chalderan reinforced that sectarian fault line, creating a source of tension and conflict that persists to this day.
Yeah.
It's a tragic reminder of how historical events can fuel animosity and violence that reverberates across generations.
It's heartbreaking to see how those historical divisions continue to play out in the modern world. And then there's the impact on the Kurds, caught in the middle of this imperial struggle.
Yeah, the annexation of Kurdish territories by the Ottomans after Chalderan
Right.
led to centuries of struggle for autonomy and recognition.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that the consequences of historical events can be felt for generations,
Right.
even centuries, particularly for those who find themselves on the losing side of those
Yeah.
events.
It makes you realize that studying history isn't just about learning about the past.
Right.
It's about understanding the present and even shaping the future.
Yeah,
We need to learn from these historical injustices
absolutely.
and work to create a more just and equitable world.
I completely agree. History can be a powerful tool for positive change.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Battle of Chalderan, I'm left with a sense of awe at the complexity of history. It's a tapestry woven from so many threads: military, political, religious, cultural,
Yeah.
and most importantly, human.
You've captured it perfectly.
Yeah,
History is a story of grand forces and individual lives,
right.
of empires rising and falling, of technology changing the face of warfare, of religions shaping cultures,
Right.
and of individuals striving to make sense of it all.
Chalderan was a clash of civilizations,
Yeah.
a battle that changed the course of history, but it was also a collection of individual stories of hopes,
Right.
dreams, and sacrifices.
Yeah.
As we go about our lives, let's remember those individual stories,
Yeah.
the human cost of conflict and the enduring legacies of the past that continue to shape our present.
Beautifully said.
Right.
And let's never stop questioning, exploring, and seeking a deeper understanding of the past.
Right.
For in doing so, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we inhabit.
Well, this has been a fascinating journey through time.
It has.
I really appreciate you walking us through all of this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.